Venom Crest with another beautiful start. I mean, we gotta give them credits. Obviously, on the other side, there are some things we need to talk about, yes, but Venom Crest are looking really, really good as a whole team. Correct, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, I think. No, let's be real. I mean, like, it's two games in a row where they have been consistent in their early game snowballing, consistent in their ability to pull off dives, pull off executions with something like Illusion, which is all about, like, can we set up to get this champion kills? It's off the mid jungle, particularly again this game, Zubac and Painful absolutely popped off. And yes, potentially against two of the weaker teams in the NLC, at least from first blush in 2 games. But the fact is, they put both teams to the sword. They did it in style. They didn't really give that much back outside of a couple overextensions. Full points to Venom Crest there.
Yep, having a strong start is also a massive deal if you are a team full of new players, right? And when it comes to how they've been playing, it's being as 5. It's being playing off of each other as a very well-oiled machine there. So I love everything we've seen from them. Big shout-outs to their mid laner, because we were talking about the Nico pick earlier as being difficult to play against for double low mobility.
Yeah.
It definitely looked very painful for the enemy team.
You had to do it. Also, they played 2 times on the blue side. Is that worth of notice? Because Zubac is giving a lot of attention to the bottom side, which is so easy to gank from nowadays.
If you want to talk about mid-jungle synergy dragged down in towards bot lane, blue side's where you're going to do it because you have so many pathways open to gank red side bot lane there. So that's going to be the standard play. Conversely, on the red side, top lane is usually very, very, very safe because of that funnel point that you now have in the top side that makes you pretty much immune to those ganks, which is why they should be playing towards top there, and then blue side should be playing towards bot. Ultimately, blue side is able to play the whole map off of that bot play.
So let's talk with Liam Cole to begin this one. We have the interview with the AD carry. Are you with us, Liam Cole? There you go. Pleasure to meet you. Welcome to the show. Not the perfect start that you were looking for, but you played 2 times on the red side. You feeling comfortable with that one?
Yeah, I think we mostly prefer red side as a team.
Oh, you do, even as an AD carry. So you think it's comfortable right now to play on that bot side?
I mean, personally, I don't really have a favorite side to play on, but we do what we think is best for the team.
So tell me, there's a big failures incident. Casters are saying, oh, it might be a one-trick pony. I don't quite believe that. Give me your opinion. Be honest. This is your time to shine. Teach us the way.
I mean, today I had the option to pick Aphelios, but I would try something new. But maybe we'll go back to the OG champ next week. We don't know.
So you're telling me that Aphelios is your favorite champion? You want to play him?
Definitely my favorite champion, yeah.
But Liam, talk to me. Like this new season, it seems like AD carries are getting slapped in the face. No?
Yeah, I mean.
Deep breath. That deep breath. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're getting slam dunked by every role. I feel like right now.
Tell me something. As an AD carry. I'm working on Riot. My father is the CEO of Riot right now, okay? Tell me, what do you want to change on the AD carry position right now?
I'm not actually too sure, like... maybe like...
Buff Aphelios?
Yeah, buff Aphelios, nerf assassins and tanks, that'll be great.
Okay, what can we expect going forward, Liam? Tell me.
I feel like we'll work on the things we're lacking on, and then we're gonna pick up some wins next week, for sure.
Let's see if it happens. Thank you so much for the interview. It was a pleasure to meet you, and have a lovely one.
You too.
Are you suffering as an AD carry?
That was a very polite way of putting it. Should we say he did a really good job of keeping broadcast appropriate there. There was some deep, dark expletives he really wanted to be saying.
You know his eyes just widened up like he saw some stuff.
Let's be honest though. It's kind of like a boy who cried wolf situation, alright? Every year they claim their role is weak, and almost every year their role is completely broken and you must play for it. Now the role is weak. You know what? I'm not sure I believe you, Liam Cole. I think you're fine down there.
It's been 2 years, guys! Guys, give everyone else a chance. It's time.
Let's be honest. It was like, how do you feel as an AD carry? How high is your pain? Like, well, on a scale of a lot. So we don't. Oh, we have it. We have it. The MVP is with us on the interview. It is Painful. Are you there, Painful?
Can't be that.
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you. Yeah, you have to climb a little bit. Okay?
Yeah, I noticed.
Welcome. A pleasure to meet you as well.
thank
And Venom Crest are looking spicy. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, we played a lot before starting. If we weren't like at least decent, it would be a shame. To say the
But the
least.
connection and the instant reaction to the calls. Who's making the calls? Is it like shared between the players, or is someone taking the role?
It's mostly our jungler, I would say, but we all look for like everything that goes on the screen. Like if something comes up, we just go for it, you know.
There's
It's a
no
moment
doubt
of
on the
truth.
team. Yeah, as soon
Yeah,
as someone
we
says
trust each
anything,
other.
you guys go.
Yeah, exactly. Like we trust each other. We've played like over 100 games.
So
It's
tell
a
me
lot.
something. Outside of the game, do you guys communicate with each other? Because most often when you have this sort of connection, it seems like people get to be friends in real life. So there's like a different sort of connection. Or it's mostly inside of the rift.
I mean, outside when we don't play, we just trash each other. Okay, mostly I trash them and they laugh and they trash me back. So it's friendly
Well,
banter.
That's
between
friendship, you
teammates.
know. that's,
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
male friendship. I love it. We
I'd
were
say it's-
talking in between the game. Something I said something out loud with the desk before the live, and I said I really want to see Venom Crest fight versus Lions Creed.
Yes, I want to play against him
Oh, why?
because he's insane.
You want to beat up Timp? Is that it?
Oh, of course. I think everyone playing in NLC right now, as a mid laner, wants to beat him up. Because if you beat him up, that means you're the best one. You take the spot from him.
Also, you are the MVP, by the way. Just letting you know, just spoiling up the situation. You're the MVP of the game. What does this mean to you?
I don't know. It's a bit weird because I was a bit relaxed since yesterday because of how the DMG Lions Creed games went and as well as how our game went. So I was confident, and when I started laning phase, I don't know, I was too out of it. I don't know how to explain it. I played like shit, so it's a bit of it's weird to get it after. But I mean, the team fights were a good call. It was called well. We knew flash timers. We played well around timers. So it wasn't really me. It was more like the team calling timers and flashes, so I could just go for flanks.
But also,
made it
I would
easy.
like to congratulate you on the perfect cosplay of minions as a Nico player. You did a really good job as a minion. So kudos to you.
And they fell for it. That's on
Yeah,
them.
they fell for it. Well, thank you so much for this one, Painful. It was a pleasure to meet you, and best of luck for next week.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go, the MVP of the match. It is Painful. Against my will, I wanted Zubak. I'm putting it on the floor. Not that Painful played bad, but I mean, I'm a fan of Zubak right now. I'm really a big fan of Zubak.
I think it was really cool hearing there in the interview as well, saying, look, Painful said, look, I wasn't that impressed with my own play, but the team made it so easy for me. I knew exactly all the flash timers. It made my flanks so much easier. And that was something we were kind of talking about, right? Like, actually, this team looks like a really well-oiled machine that know how to make their champions work. You run Nico and Lucian and Viego, you blow a load of flashes, and Nico gets to find flanks like that and gets MVPs, partly off the back of the team setting it up for success. But that's great news if you're a Venom Crest fan, because the team is apparently really empowering every member of that squad.
Yeah,
I
I
agree with
mean,
that one.
talking about the synergy they have together, the fact they all work really well together, that they've worked well together before, and that they trust each other, that's everything that you need to know that you are on a winning ticket here, right, as a member of Venom Crest right now. So when they go up against the Lions Creeds of the league, I do have faith in them to at least make it close,
gonna be fun.
if not maybe make an upset.
Oh. But Veteran, I want to get your opinion and your knowledge on natives versus light side. This is the game we're going to jump into next. The champion select is about to hit the floor as well.
Yep.
What can we expect?
I mean, I have been partitioned a bit of room to talk about another returning member, which is JQ, who I do believe is returning to the exact same org that he was in last time as well. He was in NLC. But he is at least also paired with the same coach that he has played with before in RNG. But Jakey, he was basically the hero of Czechia. Multiple big players that are currently in the LEC moved through the team at the same time as him. Humanoid, Patrick, all of these guys. And Jakey was the jungler that was able to make any lineup work and give all of these guys room to breathe and develop. He had phenomenal performances at EMEA Masters, even though they weren't quite enough to get his team going to the next level. He's always been one of these wide map junglers that play the whole game and the team plays towards them, as opposed to being one of these junglers that just pick a lane and dive on it over and over and over again. I'm really excited to see him play again. You can think of him as like Shek Shinkrov if you want to associate him with a playstyle, right? So I'm rooting for him. I think this is also a good matchup for natives. I do have 3 of my points on them. So hopefully we see big things from him, and he's always a guy for me to watch no matter what league he's in.
Do you agree with all this, Initialize? And what is your expectation on this match? Because natives are coming in with a defeat.
They are, and it was a bit of an odd one yesterday. They didn't really get to play the game the way they were hoping for and kind of put a little bit to the sword. But honestly, on the other side, light side, it wasn't pretty yesterday. There wasn't a lot of good things to take away, and I know that feels harsh. It's only game 1, though. So really, today, from the side of light side, I am really wanting to see a more coherent game plan, a much more structured early game, so they don't just fall apart and start bleeding out all over the map. And against a team like Natives, when you've got like potentially a pretty scary mid jungle looking to prove they've still got it, and all that veterancy chat we were having earlier on in the day, this should be a good test for them. They need not to fall at the first post.
Jungle is already being targeted, and obviously Jakey's jungle Draven there being targeted. That's Rusty Sniper's big Draven pick that was eternally banned out last split. So a good match in terms of targeting Native's biggest strengths. Rumble is still up, right? And even though I do think Cassandra is one of the most broken things on the planet, you do have to account for Rumble in basically any draft. So interested to see if red side bans it out, blue side bans it out, if it gets picked up at all. Let's see what happens there. That's normally the opening foray of a lot of current Season 14 champ selects.
Oh, that is a miss on the ban from Natives.
They don't need it. They have Jakey and Rusty Snipe on the same team. They don't need it. They do need it. They do need it. They do.
That suggests a little bug somewhere. Yeah. Like I love that you tried to keep that going, and there was like, no, they need that.
They don't. They actually do. Sorry, man.
Oh dear.
It seems like we're going to redo the champion select to understand what happened, especially with that ban. We already got to see some of the targets. Oh, okay, we got the information that someone didn't pay the internet connection. I'm kidding. They're just these seats, so we're waiting for the champion select to go back in, and as soon as we can, we'll go back right in. We still have time. Don't worry, guys. We ended the previous game really fast as well, so we're up on schedule. On this one,
even faster. Didn't even get through 3 bans.
I know. It's game's over now. It's finished, guys. You just have to guess who won. That's it. You're like, it's give your tea leaves out and pray you get the right read.
Just flip it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you used Earl Grey, you're gonna get a different answer to English breakfast.
But it's but it's an interesting storyline. The fact that Natives comes in on the first game they lose on the NLC 2024 Spring Split, and they need to make a statement. But it's also a big opportunity to light side as well, to say, hey, we had a bad day. We heard it on the interview yesterday. We had a bad day. Don't worry. Go for the next one. It's a win. They seemed confident, and obviously they need it.
Yeah, I think there is something to be said for the fact that side went up against a very coherent Venom Crest, who I think surprised a lot of us. And it might just be one of those ones that Venom Crest are going to make a lot of teams look silly, who aren't actually that bad. It's just Venom Crest are that good. And we don't know yet. We're 2 games in. But there's still a lot for the side of light side to prove. There was an Ivern ban there, which was very surprising. I know Veteran was interested in that one. It's looking like a first pick Azir by the looks of it, which will be a takeaway from Torok, who did play that yesterday.
Rumble.
That's going to be the Udyr.
Wow, Udyr and Senna, you have the option to just go Varus Akali straight up here, and then it's a very unplayable game for the Azir. Instead, they have locked in Udyr. We have seen a lot. Varus has now been taken away, so Varus obviously is a good pick into the Azir, but with the Azir, this is one of the best objective-taking setups you can have. Post 20 minutes, if you are not around the Baron, those things just inhale it in a matter of seconds. And with the Aatrox there, that's another opening to pick Akali, but Udyr's already been picked into that Aatrox, likely. Maybe it's Udyr jungle. Nope, we're not seeing any presence on the Akali at all. Doesn't seem to be something Torak's heavily prioritizing. Maybe he has something else when he sees both Azir and Varus being picked.
Worth pointing out as well that the Seraphine ban now feels even better for the side of natives, because of course if there is going to be that high Senna priority, Seraphine alongside the Senna is just filthy if you allow it to get to 1-2 items for free. Instead it's going to be paired alongside the Tahm Kench, which is solid, it's well known. I think there are probably better pairings with Senna. It's just this is a combo that people know how to play and are comfortable with, and it's still going to work just fine. You got a couple beefy boys in the forms of the Udyr and the Tahm Kench, and the Senna's going to be doing Senna things on the current patch.
And speaking of like Senna Seraphine, right, the pairing with that would be Corki, which is a classic matchup into Azir. You don't win the early laning phase and you could give up priority then, but when it scales with the Senna Seraphine, as we saw from Perks on Heretics, it can be monstrous. And
it's silly.
If something makes Perks look good on Season 14, it has to be completely broken beyond all belief.
Just stab him while you're here, why don't you?
Orianna, okay.
He's not even a...
Akali is up, and you
That's
have
a lot of
Senna.
damage.
Right? This has to be an Akali opportunity.
Or is this just a read that Torak doesn't play it, or they don't think he's going to be confident enough to play it here? Because it might just be a call out from native saying, look, we've taken away the Azir you prioritized yesterday. We don't think you've got the Akali in you.
Yeah.
They're looking instead perhaps towards something like the Lucian's being hover, but I'm going to wait until that's locked in. I have been hearing rumors of Lucian mid lane.
Wow.
And that could well be something special, and that is something we saw into Azir back when Lucian mid lane was a bit more common, alongside things like the Tristana. AD mids that can be really aggressive levels 1 through 3, hit those item spikes early. Sounds pretty good when you've now got a Tahm Kench to try and keep your double AD carries alive.
Lucian's a bit of a different monster than we saw back then, though, right? Now you typically pick Lucian to play heavily with DR. You're thinking about one item spike in the skirmish. You don't necessarily think of it as a lane bully, but it still functions much the same way to Azir now, theoretically, as it did before. So I am down with this pick. It's a big curveball. It also allows the Udyr to continue to be a flex. You can have that AP in the jungle. It can pair up really well in early skirmishes with the Udyr.
That's fun.
I love this top side. You think about the Kevins a lot, and this is a scenario where you're going to have full control of the Kevins from really early on.
Yeah, and again, things like the Voltaic Cyclo Sword for Lucian in mid lane right now, very, very silly when we've seen that come out in about a little bit. They're going to lock in the Maokai to offer a little bit more CC in front line. And in fairness, if you're going to try and make the AD carries' lives a bit more difficult, some more zone control is interesting. But that will be interesting to work with alongside the brand jungle. This champion is so dumb.
Yeah,
it's so dumb.
We know they've been scrimming. Nord brought this out yesterday to much success, actually. And I remember when Tinks was playing it years back. Yes, this is a very dumb jungler. It's also, I think, a jungler that can do a full reverse clear here, but you wouldn't want to do the buffless clear for Kevins. You actually do want to emphasize the strengths that you have in your solo lanes here, at least. And Bran can come in and can change the game there a lot. Itemizations are very difficult, but one thing I will say is later on in the game, if the Azir, if the Aatrox, if they're ever able to get a flank, that brand will actually be uniquely vulnerable in those positions. So you'll want to snowball this game, you'll want to ward your flanks on those snowballs, and you'll want to keep that pressure going. If you lose pressure at any point, it can start to get quite difficult.
We saw that yesterday, exactly like that. You have the lead, you have a Leandris at 9 minutes in, but you let go of the pressure. You lost the game just because of that. I totally agree with you. I find it spicy. Let's see how they can cook it. And to send it to the kitchen, let's send it to the boys.
Yes.
What in the kitchen? I don't know. Middle content, we do it. I still don't understand the setup. I'm sorry.
One of the rooms in our apartment.
Yeah, we do have a kitchen, and that is good.
Allegedly. It's looking pretty messy right now.
It's a rumoured kitchen.
I would not want to go in there.
I think it's not too bad. I'm glad that we've established I'm the best chef in the house already.
Well, I mean, you also leave a load of water in the sink overnight, which... Less talking about that. Let's talk about some League of Legends. Both these teams, Natives and Lightside, did take L's yesterday. I think that in terms of how I would be feeling if I was either of these teams, I definitely would almost prefer to be Natives, because that was a situation where they fell behind early, but they were able to stay in that game for a very, very long time before eventually succumbing to the pressure.
Yeah, they didn't lose the game in 25 minutes. They ended up taking, I think, 47 minutes before that Nexus fell. So a lot of staying power, stopping power, tenacity in the roster, and their ability to try and close games out, or at least stop the enemy team from closing it out. It's one of my favourite adages. I can't remember which pro player said it, but basically the crux of it was, guys, we can't lose this game. What are we going to do? We're just going to make it as impossible for them to win as we can, and that's the right mentality to have. And it felt like Natives had that yesterday.
Yeah. Although for Lightside, kind of a similar performance yesterday to what happened in the first game of the day with DMG going up against Venom Crest, because it felt like a very, very similar situation there. They ended up losing kind of in most lanes, most of that coming through from the jungle. But I'm interested to see what they're going to be doing with this draft, particularly the brand, as the desk has already highlighted, can clear through those camps so damn quickly and just get on map that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about with Lightside's composition. Their team fighting is going to be insane as we get later on. They've got Senna, they've got Brand. Those two champions alone team fight exceptionally and also scale very well as we go later into the game. The obvious drawbacks of Brand in the late game is that of any mage, where your mobility is a little bit lacking. That's why you so frequently see brands take the Ghost, just so they've got a little bit of extra mobility. And I know that, we'll just take Flash, that's better. Movement speed is just such a valuable stat that sometimes you just have to be better. And Ghost is the solution to that.
Well, it's just about sort of dancing around your effective range as well. I feel like on Brand, obviously you are going to be limited by your spell rotations, whereas a lot of junglers can kind of get in, auto-attack until their spells are back up again, and then just drop the cooldowns. Brand cannot do that at all. He needs to be sort of weaving in and out of fights a little bit, and when you see the lockdown tools that Natives have got available for themselves, you've got the Maokai, and you've got the Varus ult there as well. You want to be towing that line as fine as you can.
What we should be asking is, why didn't Emp go cleanse? And that's the actual solution here as to how he should have played out the jungle. Nevertheless, got that Ghost locked in. Going to be seeing a speedy Brand hopefully clearing through both his jungle and the enemy team if Lightside want to come away with a victory. Do get to see another glimpse of Udyr in the top lane as well, so we'll have to see whether or not he's able to sort of right some of the wrongs of previous Udyrs that we've seen in the NLC.
Yeah, and it is going to be a top side starter here on the blue side for Yaki, so that does open up the possibility of hitting level 4 and just coming straight into this bot lane, trying to get on top of Dr. Chaos or Ragnar before the Senna can scale up to be that just disgusting long-range AD carry that seems to do everything.
Yeah, and I don't have the time nor the patience to explain to people why double support on World Atlas is really good, so I'll give everybody a TLDR. We're expecting Dr. Chaos to go back to base, pick up a World's Atlas as well, because it gives more gold to the bot lane as a whole, and you're basically getting, I'd say 0.8, 0.7 of a gold income on 2 champions as opposed to a 1 and a 0.4 that you usually get.
Yeah, and the thing about the lane, the Senna Time Kench just functions as a normal, I guess, how do we even describe Senna? It's such a weird champion to
this is why I said, don't have the time, don't have the patience. You just go, Senna is a unique champion, you have to know, and if you don't, ratio.
Unlucky. Bucci using the incredible pushing power there that the Udyr has to get those waves under Smurfy's tower, and is even going to be going for a little bit of a proxy. And with Yaki on the bottom side of the rift, there's no real way to punish the Udyr for doing this yet.
I mean, even if a Maokai goes up to that top side to try and punish Bucci, he presses Ghost and, he gets rooted. Cool. He gets smashed back. Still cool. I'm running away and turtling up to full HP. The proxy here is going to give Bucci a really good recall timer as well. This is something that you'll see from a lot of top laners. He's going to catch this wave super high, gets himself to go back to base, and by the time that the next minion wave has spawned, made its way to the top side, Bucci can have already recalled, already got his items, and be back out into the top lane to catch everything.
And speaking of already recalled, we have seen Emp take a pretty early reset there on the Brand. What he did when he actually came out starting, didn't buy any health potions at all. Obviously, typically you do see junglers pick up 1 or 2 of those, but this allows him to go back, get the Amp Tome and the Dark Seal, and when you're on Brand, getting as much AP as you can, it's the name of the game.
Yeah, and I really like this little vision toggle as well that we've got from our observers, just showing that the Brand not spotted walking into this brush, and it was nicely played by Emp as well.
Oh, here he comes, immediate flash away from Shawi Katami. Has to show the respect in that situation.
Again, just nicely played. Honestly, from all fronts, nice to see that Emilio happy to flash out, knows that he's caught, and a good crash executed from Lightside so far. 4 minutes into this one, middle cut, we've got the grubs spawning in just a couple of seconds, and Yaki already looking for a bit of a wander in the top side.
Yeah, just establishing a little bit of vision, trying to spot out where Emp is going to be going, like you mentioned, as those Void Grubbies going to be jumping onto it very, very shortly.
What
Should
do
be
you
able
call
to
the
pick those
Void
up.
Grubs middle cut?
I know that Kevin has been doing the rounds
Okay.
as the accepted name for them, but honestly, I just called them Void Grubs.
Oh, that's boring.
I'm not that whimsical a guy, unfortunately.
I've been calling them the Hans Grubers.
The Hans... Oh, that's good.
And I really enjoyed that.
Oh, that's very good. Torok going for an aggressive trade onto Nulu here, and this is kind of what you want to be doing on the Lucian, right? This is a champion that can smash laning phase, and you see he's already up a wave in a bit of CS.
Yeah, and I honestly, when you take this counter pick, we knew that the Azir was going to happen. They sort of dangled the Akali as bait and said, go on, you won't pick this counter. Torok went, no, you're quite right, but I've got something else prepped and planned. So, nice performance so far, obviously, with this CS league. Now we're going to get to see him link up with them. Really nice thing about mid-jungle duos, typically what you're looking for is a mixed damage profile. Lucian deals largely physical damage, Brand deals largely magical damage, so the two together go hand in hand as a duo.
Correction, Brand deals large magic damage because it absolutely eviscerated those Void Grubs, burnt through them at an incredibly rapid pace. Jakey's still actually even with him on CS, but you do expect the Brand to eventually be taking a lead in that department.
Yeah, you can just clear faster and be out on the map. That's the power of the Brand, is that your full clear is just a little bit faster than the Maokai's, and if you're not outpacing, okay, if you're not outpacing the Maokai in terms of farm, you're definitely outpacing in terms of ganks as a consequence. Now, we did see Ragnar there have to burn summon a heal to survive the onslaught of Rusty Sniper and Shawi Katami on that bot side. Good to see that despite that Milio not having flash, they've not really been thwarted in their efforts down on this bot side.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of why we are seeing a lot of Varus, because he is just a bit of a stone wall in terms of the bottom lane, as disgusting amount of early damage, unexpected early damage as well, with that W enhanced piercing arrow that can easily take someone from 25% HP to 0. First dragon of the game going to be picked up in Yaki in trade for those Void Grubs that Emp took a little bit earlier.
Yep, classic early game trade here between our two junglers. You can see they've both completed almost 2 full clears and have started to take a couple of objectives off the map as well. And this is the power of Maokai as a jungler, spotting out Emp on his wander back to that bot side with the saplings, the couple of early wards as well that he placed in that top side jungle. So gave the information over, and once you see the top side or enemy jungler top side, you've got a couple of minutes honestly of planning. You can intuit that they're going to try and take Void Grubs and then go, well, probably wants to base after he's full cleared again. So we've got a little bit of time to make this play happen on the dragon. Now that there's going to be a likely 3v3 down on this bot side, Emp is at the Gromp, but Yaki may be here first.
Yeah, Yaki has already thrown out those roots. They are going to be able to lock down Ragnar. Rusty Sniper over to pick up the kill and will be successful. First blood for the Varus as Dr. Chaos is not back. Emp is here just in time to save the Tahm Kench. Rusty Sniper burning low, not going to get taken out.
No, a couple skill shots going wide there from Emp. Might have been able to claw a kill back. Unfortunately, not the case. Now they're going to try their best to get this wave either crashed or saved, because Ragnar going down there, he's going to miss out a fair amount on this experience. And whilst the center may not be farming, they definitely still want experience to try and be able to keep themselves on pace for that late game Exodi that we know of.
So something I have just noticed, Rusty Sniper there as he clears out that wave, he has opted for the Berserker Greaves in his inventory. Don't typically see that if you are going for the lethality variant, so I imagine as he takes this back, we're going to see something maybe building towards a Ruin King?
Yeah, if there's a tier, then we're in shambles. If there's no tier, it's lethal tempo and it's attack speed. So we've come out the base, we've got no tier. Rusty Sniper likely heading toward, as you've mentioned here, probably the Blade of the Ruin King, just so that he can cut through Tahm Kench, Udyr, because lethality, as much as we may sing its praises, Middlecop, it's just not going to cut it versus 2 stone walls like that.
And Emp with the ghost, he can just dodge away from the arrows.
You see, you can only flash 1 piercing arrow. You can ghost away from about 3 in a fight. I reckon, anyway.
Torok here, pushing out the mid-wave. Shawi Katami, offering a little bit of support. Now, I've said that Milio isn't great as a roamer.
You've been proven wrong.
I have been proven wrong, but it looks like Torok is going to be showing the
appropriate amount of respect. If I see Milio off map, I'm running back to base. It's just that simple.
I do like that, even though Torok is coaching over in Prime League, we've still got a little bit of representation coming down here in the form
we are
of Torok.
clutching at strings here.
Oh, come on, there's only 1 letter difference.
We can see natives moving into the topside jungle now, and
Torok. Oh, Shawi Katami with the roam from the Milio and Torok. Having to throw down the culling to dissuade aggression coming out from Nulu.
Alright, you see Milio roam once again. We've burned Lucian ulti. big win for the Natives mid laner, as now that is going to give him, honestly, not necessarily a kill window, but it means that he can't be killed as easily, and that's really the goal that the solution would have looked to go down. We mentioned the CS earlier on. That's not really escalated anymore. And get a cheeky ulti down from Rusty Sniper to trade a little bit of HP back, as Emilio left him on his own for a little bit.
Might look for a little bit more there. Is going to get caught by the center W and rooted down as Yaki is able to pick up the first of those Void Grubs. So it doesn't look like anybody's going to be getting that big empowered buff from those Grubbies.
No, he's taken 2 now. Can leave this third one, but obviously if there's an extra opportunity to get more damage, he would be a fool not to take it. Does look like he's going to lose out at the very least on his Raptors, although Lulu spots this.
Yeah, remember, no flash and going to pop the Ghost and run away.
Another reason why you should take Ghost, shorter cooldown. Ghost for Raptors, worth. Flash for Raptors, not worth.
Probably not worth. 10 minutes in, it's been a bit of a slower paced game than our first of the day. Are our teams going to be feeling different ways about this, or are we fine to be scaling up?
Honestly, if I'm either of these teams, the way I look at it, I'm an AD carry player, and I go, how confident do I feel hitting in these team fights later on? I'm going to have to hold the point.
Yeah, Dr. Chaos just about able to get himself away. Root coming through onto 2. Ragnar and Emp posturing a little bit aggressively. Dr. Chaos moving up as well. The HP bars, the mana bars, not really allowing for an extended play though.
No, a couple of ultis thrown. A little bit of posturing. No Drake to be taken for another 30 seconds, and without those grasping roots, that could be a window for Lightside to decide that they want to take that fight around the dragon, with Yaku not having that big tool. Looking now to see if, well, Rusty Sniper does manage to dodge out on the last embrace, so not necessarily the worst case scenario. Looking now, as we get later on into this game, I'm really excited for how the brand is going to function. We talked about the late gamers, and with such a big front line as well, Maokai Aatrox is going to be a decent front line to deal with. The percentage HP of the brand is going to go very well. You've got Senna as well, going to be looking to cut through those champions. I'm excited for both of these teams as they get later, because Azir does just the same thing as a non-hit virus, so there's plenty of tank shred, plenty of tanks, and plenty of tools.
Yeah, that's an ult laid down by Rusty Sniper. No flash on either Dr. Chaos or Ragnar. Yaki just a little bit too far away to follow up on that play, and it's actually Rusty Sniper who's taken lower by the end of it.
It's my favourite cop-out answer ever, but there's an element of execution to these two team compositions, is the TLDR, as the Drake does get secured by Lightside, puts them at 1 apiece alongside those Grubs. So getting into these team fights later on, things like your gold lead are actually going to be very important. Who's got more items, who's got better resources to dish out damage, are things that are going to be fairly important. Did you know that Frozen Heart is getting nerfed next patch?
I'm glad.
100 gold.
See,
have you heard of the term placebo nerf?
That makes me feel slightly happier, but only slightly.
Only slightly.
That's if I'm at a restaurant, I go to the waiter, hey waiter, there's a fly in my soup. That's the equivalent of the waiter coming over with a spoon and just scooping it out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel somewhat better.
Okay, you've made an adjustment. It's not what I wanted. However, I can't deny that it is better than it was previously. To stop us talking about flies in soups, one of the small things that Udyr has been touted with famously is his ability to move very quickly. Bucci has opted for the rare no boots Udyr build so far, and is currently moving very, very slowly. And it's quite a contrast from what I'm used to seeing, that's all.
Well, he does have that E, so he can run that a little bit faster, but I am a little bit concerned here for Natives. I think if we were going back to pre-split expectations, and honestly, even if we just look back to yesterday about how both these teams played, Lightside being even with this team around about 14 minutes in is not something that I necessarily would have expected, and whilst Natives do have strong scaling elements on their side, I would have expected a little bit more from this team, honestly, as a potential fight coming through in the bot lane. It's going to be started off by Lightside, but Natives seem happy to trade into them. Rusty Sniper flashes away, but even if he gets over that wall, I don't know if he's making it out.
No, walking through on that pink ward there, I think Rusty should have just bit the bullet, sacked to the death, known that his flash wouldn't have done a right lot of anything there, but that's going to give at this sort of late stage of the laning phase, really, with 14 minutes in and still got very standard lanes just because it's been so slow. Probably this full turret just ends up falling now with no plates down on that bot side, so good gold resources going into the center, into the Tarm Kench as well. It's going to be traded for a Herald, so we'll maybe get to see some more shenanigans with that. If they can take 2 mid turrets like we saw from last game, I think it's going to be a very wild acceleration, honestly.
Yeah, and that mid lane tower belonging to Tarak is a little bit on the lower side, so if natives are able to get a 3-4 person rotate into this mid lane, then they would be able to take that down, especially, again, when you look at the massive zoning teamfight tools they have. If Maokai, if Yaki is dropping that ultimate and you're stood under that tower, you've just got to walk away.
Yep, unfortunately, Maokai's ulti tends to be a secure objective button. Whether it be a turret, whether it be a Drake, it gives you such a high chance of winning any fight around an objective, so no surprises there that if we see, oh cool, we've popped ulti, we've also charged the Rift Herald, we tend to be in a good spot. Now of course we are in Season 14, support items did end up getting a little bit of an overhaul. For those of you that are unfamiliar, Ragnar has gone for the Blood Song, which is effectively Sheen and PTA rolled into one, except you don't have to press the attack auto, it literally just happens off of one single spell.
And it costs 400 gold.
Yeah, 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 it does.
Yeah.
And you can buy 2 of them on your team and get a lot of gold. So this is a great example. Why we can show you that Double World Atlas gets you a lot of gold. Yes, Ragnar ended up getting first brick, but even without that, the gold would be about even between the 2 AD carries when the Senna is minus 50 CS and actually minus a kill.
I'm looking forward to 14.2.
Yeah?
I'm really looking forward to 14.2 as Rusty Sniper throws out the Chains of Corruption. They're going to go wide. Yaki is coming here to respond to the aggression being laid down by Lightside. Locks up Torak. And Nulu's going to be able to get the kill. Dr. Chaos is going to be the next victim as Rusty Sniper picks up a kill for himself. And Natives closing up that gold lead a little bit, which had started to go in Lightside's favour. Yeah,
first real 5v5 of today, and it's gone the way of Natives. Find themselves a 2-for-0 in that mid lane, and with that Rift Herald ready, they popped it down, that tier 1 turret. You asked for 5 people in the mid lane. Nulu has still got the shuffle.
They could go for this. Pops the flash, gets 2! Sent to their doom, and Emp is on the run, but he cannot escape. Can't ghost out of there fast enough, and Natives have come alive in the last 60 seconds.
Well, I said it would be a sort of wild excitation, and that's exactly what's happened here. They do get 2 turrets with the Rift Herald. They do get them in mid lane, and with 12 seconds on that Dragon, they've decided they're going to go back to base. They're going to take their resets, but they could have very easily headed on back there. This Drake fight that is most likely to happen now going to be wildly in the favour of Natives with this. Honestly, 1k gold lead. As I've realised I've said, maybe not quite the same case.
But let's look at the items, though. We've got Nulu picking up that Nash's alongside the Leandri. Shwami Katami a little bit late to get back to base, and Torok is going to pull that TP to try and secure some priority for Lightside around the objective.
Yeah, Nulu no TP, and he pivoted out to that top side to catch the wave that Bucci had put in. He did, Bucci, secure that top tier 1 turret, so that needed to be answered. It looks like this Drake is going to be started by Lightside at the very least, but Natives, you can see a couple of them posturing. They do want to fight this.
Lightside going for the burst power, but Yaki's coming through on the other side, steals away the Dragon and gets the fight started as well. No one falling down just yet, but Ragnar is going to be hitting the deck as Natives bot side playing on to LLS. Smurfy forcing low health bars from 3 members. Wave not quite at the tower, so Lightside got a little bit of protection for the time being, but I think the dive might be kicked off.
They warded them away. And it looks like although Lightside tried to retreat, they're coming in.
Rusty Sniper on the other side gets the arrow, throws out the hail, and Smurfy is able to pick up the kill. And Dr. Chaos,
an agent of his name here, unfortunately, is going to end up going down.
Wait! Oh, but hold on, the ult from Ragnar, able to pick up one on the backside, so Lightside able to get a little bit of a reprieve, but again, Natives have grabbed this game by the scruff of the neck, and they are beating Lightside.
Exactly what we saw from them yesterday as well. Even though the game wasn't going exactly how they planned it to, they're going to make this about as difficult as possible for their opponents. And this time round, they're coming out with gold leads for it. They're taking objectives. They just secured themselves the second Dragon of the game. They've got 2 turrets in the mid lane. And now, to round it all out, as we fully reset from the chaos that's happened for the last 2-3 minutes, they get themselves a tier 1 turret in that bot side as well.
Yeah, and if that fight happens a minute later, Baron is absolutely on the cards for the Natives. Lightside still very much in this game. It is only a 3,000 gold lead in favour of Natives, but if they're able to keep starting fights like that, it's going to be very difficult for Lightside to come back in.
It is, and I've touched on it, the scaling of Lightside is very good. I don't want to undersell the scaling from Natives either. They've got an on-hit Varus and they've got an Azir. I think Azir is just the best mid lane champion that exists at the minute. With the amount of scaling that comes through from an Azir, from those Nash's Tooth and the changes that happened, this champion just does obscene amounts of damage.
Yeah, a little bit of an issue on our end. Does look like our stream may have frozen a little bit, although we're still seeing things updating. So we are back into the game. Hopefully you can hear us as well, as Baron is going to be hitting the rift.
Alrighty. We had, like I say, that last couple of minutes of honestly chaos, and now the teams have started to reset and reassign themselves to these relative lanes. Top and bot both need to start getting pushed in if teams are looking to start taking Baron, if they're starting to make moves into the top side jungle. Of course, we had a very stagnated early game, you know, not nearly as forward as game number 1 of the day. So these outer turrets still standing in a couple of occasions. This mid-tier 1 turret that Lightside want to try and knock down, Natives the same situation on this top side, and they're the ones that are taking the initiative. They've pushed Torok off of that top tier 1. Nulu and Yaki, they're able to finish off the complete outer sweep, giving Natives sort of firm control of this mid game.
Yeah, and whilst Bucci was able to have a pretty successful laning phase, right, for the Udyr, was constantly getting that shove onto Smurfy, was able to take down that tower before Nulu was able to respond with the top tower of himself. But I feel like they've had starkly different impacts on this game, right? Smurfy, 3-0 and 3, 2 items completed. Bucci, he took a tower, but what else has he done?
Yeah, and honestly, there isn't anything else, is the short answer to your question. He's not really been an impact in these team fights. But I want to continue on this Season 14 if you've missed the updates train, because Smurfy has finished maybe the best bruiser item that exists in the Sundered Sky, and I want to highlight that specifically for the champion like Aatrox that already has a lot of innate healing in his kit. Every single auto attack on a new champion, there's no cooldown on unique champions. I think the cooldown itself is about 5 seconds or so, but you get a massive heal, and it's just really nice for Aatrox.
Bucci running out there. Obviously able to go CC immune with the Udyr.
Pretty good trait to have in a champion.
No, it is good. It is good. I'm very torn on the Udyr update. I was a big player of him before. I feel like
when he had no skill. Just to confirm.
Right, you're sleeping on the street tonight. I'm sorry, I'm not.
That's a yes for everybody at home. Back when the champion was not point and click, Bucci trading somewhat effectively, but the thing with Udyr is he heals after a fight. Aatrox heals during it.
Yeah, and there's no after a fight if you end up dying during the fight. Game has slowed down a little bit here for Natives. They've not really been able to push the tempo as much as they maybe would have liked, but also haven't risked very much either. Bucci's forcing the eat there out of Dr. Chaos to save the Udyr, and with that cooldown being down, there's a lot less protection for someone like Torok or Emp or Ragnar.
Perfect point. It's not the champion that you want to be using Devourer on. You want to be saving Ragnar, saving Torok if they're in a little bit of a sticky spot. But having to pull that out of your Udyr, that's not exactly ideal. And with that, just a small little fight, small skirmish in that bot side. Natives have secured themselves control of this bot side. They take themselves soul point. And now in 5 minutes time, Lightside are going to have a big decision to make whether they can or can't fight for this dragon.
And it's Ocean, so right? I feel like this is almost ready-made for Native's composition that wants to be hitting continuously with the Azir, with the Varus, that kind of wants the Maokai and the Aatrox to also be sitting in the front line, absorbing a lot of damage, and the Ocean Soul just really augments their ability to do that.
Yeah, you do phrase things much nicer than I would have done. That would just be very obnoxious if there's an Aatrox and a Maokai that have got Ocean Soul that I'm trying to deal with. The issue that I've got right now with Lightside's composition is that the consistent damage is currently only coming from Emp. Torok actually fairly far behind at this stage in the game, minus 3,000 gold on his mid lane counterpart, hasn't even finished his second item yet. The Senna build path, lethality, we talked about it last game and this game as well, not the best at trying to get through those tanks. And Yaki, Frozen Heart finished 0-0-6 on his scoreline, is having a stellar performance for Natives this time round and is not going to be moved in that front line.
Yeah, I love this setup here, as we can see it. We've got the Azir in the top lane, we've got a 3-person unit in mid, and then we've got Smurfy splitting down bottom. Has the TP, so when Natives peel towards the top side, start establishing vision on the entrance towards the Baron pick, he's able to respond. Or, with this constant shove, could just walk over.
Yeah, and they can just start hitting it whenever. They've got on-hit Varus and they've got Azir. These two champions do not mess around when it comes to DPS.
Light side moving into approach Baron, already falling down to 6,000 HP. TP is going to be pulled from Bucci. Can't flash over the wall, isn't even going to have an opportunity to get anywhere near the Baron. A clean take from Natives, and they're thinking about the fight as well. Dangerous to go into a choke point versus the Brand, versus the Udyr. A lot of burn damage that can come through, but Natives Wallace just look that little bit more full, and they've got a little bit more in the tank.
And even so, despite the fact that Natives weren't able to find the fight, despite the fact that Lightside weren't able to find their fight, they just got the Baron.
Yeah.
For free. Like we talked about, Maokai ult is a all but secure objective button, and if you're the ones who are literally sat on the objective starting it, there's no way that Lightside can try and force their way through there. You have to use the Empowered Phoenix from Bucci to CC tank one of them, and then you get Emp going in. Maybe there's a world it could have happened, but it was not this one. Now a 5k, 6k gold lead for Natives. They've got this 2 outer turrets as well, top and bot, to try and take down. Plenty of gold for them to accelerate this lead.
And this is what this Natives team looked like when they are not getting blasted out of that early game. It felt like yesterday they were constantly playing catch-up to all. They were constantly just reaching for something that they couldn't quite execute on, but we were potentially worried about how even the early game was. Natives doesn't look like they were worried at all.
No, and Rusty Sniper there literally just auto-attacking Bucci forces the Ghost out of the Udyr. We've commented on sort of lack of effectiveness of this Udyr so far this game. In terms of kills, has contributed nothing to either team, in fairness. Hasn't given over any deaths either, but is really struggling to find impact in this game. And without that Ghost, that's only going to get harder for him as we get into the next team fight.
And still, it feels like for Natives, they're not pressured to do anything silly at this point. They're outranging Lightside with their composition. They're scaling just fine as the game gets later. That's a bit of a tempo TP coming through from Nulu to secure the push in the mid lane, to get this bot lane tower as well. It's very, very clean stuff from Natives.
Love the alliteration as well of a tempo TP. Can never be understated how valuable that is to the both mental and physical aspects of League of Legends. But all 5 of them, hold on. Nulu, I need you to reset so my point works. All 5 of them resetting at the same time so they can get out on the map together and exceed. That's not going to be the case. Nulu, he's got too little gold, I think. He's probably working on his finished item for either Death Cap, Shadow Flame. It can be so many things at the minute.
I mean, we're talking about Nulu having too little gold. He's 4k up on Torek at the moment.
Too little gold for him to base.
The bank account is doing fine.
Fair enough, all right? He's got himself the nice penthouse. He's got a massive Bugatti in the garage, but what he's not got is a chopper. So once he's got that, then we're fine.
Oh, the bike.
I meant the helicopter.
Oh.
The common term for a helicopter, you know?
The chopper.
Have you never seen Terminator?
Have you never seen
movie?
American Chopper? Anyway, we're getting a little bit distracted. 30 seconds until the Ocean Soul is on the table, and like we was discussing, the inventories for Natives about as full as they could be at this stage of the game, and I guess now we're looking at Lightside to do something a little bit crazy to try and bring it back.
Yeah, we really are. If there was ever a time for Lightside to pull something out of the pull any rabbit out of a hat, we're certainly looking at it right here. Ragnar is 1 stack away from 100, get an extra little range increase. Maybe a 3-item center can make something happen, but I think it's going to come down to Emp. The brand damage is just still crazy, even though he's down a little bit on the rest of where he'd like to be in this game. I think that any Pyroclasm that hits 5 people is a good one.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like Natives are going to give the opportunity. They've just been so disciplined in terms of their positioning, the way that they've been stancing up in this game. We haven't really seen any catches be executed by Lightside.
No, and unfortunately, the comp not the best at lending itself to that, right? We highlighted a little bit earlier on that they're great for team fighting once it's been engaged upon them, and Maokai does a very good job at engaging. Unfortunately, they've not been able to execute on any full-on picks just to try and find somebody out. Worth noting that while this pause has happened, we did see Natives just starting up the Dragon on the minimap, right? So there was nobody else anywhere near that. That is just Ocean Soul that is going to go the way of Natives, all being well. There's no jinx in this game. Center ulti doesn't hit objectives, so it is just going to be Ocean Soul very easily picked up for Natives, and that almost feels like a nail in the coffin.
The ways that you come back from that position are kind of abstract. And to be fair, enemy mid laner DCing.
It's a good start.
It's a good start.
It's a good start.
Hopefully we're going to get Nulu back in the game very soon. But I'm a little bit sad for Lightside because I feel like this has been another game where they haven't really been able to enforce or assert themselves onto the enemy team as much.
No, I kind of agree with you, honestly. That they gave themselves decent enough tools to have good team fighting. I really value an Udyr in a top lane who can, stonewall at a bruiser in the top side. Unfortunately, that didn't extend past laning phase. We got to see Bucci have a great time of things, constantly pushing in waves, took down that turret, but never translated that lead, that success, into the rest of his team. And the first time that we got to see Smurfin move out of that top side, he came out of it with 3 assists and was more than happy to continue on his rampage throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, unfortunately, you would have loved old Udyr in this situation. You'd be breaking down the gates, man. Trick 2G style, old season as we are going to be jumping back in. And, well, it was off our screen, and now it's still off our screen. That dragon going down, giving the Ocean Soul over to natives.
Baron is the next objective for natives, hopefully. For Lightside, I think that's their sort of last stand, really, is going to be at that Baron. You're working with an objective that can deal a little bit of damage for you. That Ocean Soul, though, is simply going to be working overtime. The damage that comes from Lightside, I think, as a sort of shining light, is not necessarily poke, which gives an insane Ocean Soul value. Smurfy?
Potentially caught here, but Naki's going to throw down those roots, only catching onto Bucci, so not the best engage that could have been possible. Chains of Corruption are going to be coming out. The eat through onto the Udyr once again, but there's enough damage in trade to dissuade natives from continuing the push.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been talking about for Emp this whole time. He does a lot of damage. He basically single-handedly sent them back, managed to hold out that line, didn't lose out on any of their base turrets, so the inhibitor turrets are still standing. It gives them a line to defend from when the next impending push comes through. We've got Baron spawning inside a minute. That is going to be that next focus for both of our teams. Natives want to run up to that top side, start establishing vision in the top side jungle, clear through top, clear through mid, and then start hitting away on the big purple worm.
And this is what I love about stuff like Baron and potentially an Elder Drake if the game goes this long. Your comp can be great at defending these sieges, at being able to push away natives in this situation. But if they're running at you with not one game ending buff, but 2, 3, it's so difficult for you to actually match against that.
Yeah, it unfortunately is middle cop. It's also pretty difficult to play against a mid laner who has got 12 CS per minute. Because 359, we'll call it 360 at 30 minutes, is genuinely absurd. Nulu is 4 items. He finished off that Rabadon, so he's finally got the chopper. And as soon as he, sells the D-ring, we'll have to see what that final one is going to be. I don't think we're going to get there in that game, to be honest.
They're just keeping it there. A little bit of memento from where he's come to where he is now.
The humble roots.
Yeah.
When you get nice and famous, your friends always say, "Don't forget me." That's that door answering.
That's that door answering.
That's
well,
that door answering right there.
Rusty Sniper going to be hitting onto the Baroners. Lightside have actually split up natives a little bit, and Nulu's going to be forced to flash away from Bucci. Multiple man route, but the Baron is already dead. Shwami Katami staying alive as Dr. Chaos is going to be the next focus for natives, and they are running over Lundvis Lightside as they try and contest Ragnar, Emp, Torok. Going for the hills, natives going for the base.
It's the 3 DPS sources still alive, but I don't think they're going to have enough to cut through an Ocean Soul, through an Aatrox period, and a Maokai as well, let alone one that is buffed up by a Moonstoned Ardent Admelio. Only a small wave, but it's going to be more than enough to break open the base, and whether or not they can break open the Nexus is going to be that pending question.
Yeah, Nulu pushing through another wave in that top lane, so inhibitor number 1 secured. Inhibitor number 2, the next objective. Respawn's coming through relatively soon for Lundvis Lightside with Yaki. I was saying low on HP, but he's healed up a fair bit in the past couple of seconds. Maybe you don't want to be going for the end if you're natives. You've got a big advantage. You've got an Elder spawning in a minute. Don't risk it, lads.
And even at that rate, the way to end this game is so easy. Even if they recall there, they've got 2 inhibitors down. The game plays itself at this point. You walk bot lane, you establish vision in the bot side jungle, and if you can break open that 3rd inhibitor, great, you've all but won. And if you can't, well, it's 30 seconds by that point until you need to back off, set yourself up for an Elder Dragon, and then you can make a final assault on the base.
Oh, and I love this in the inventories here for Nulu and Rusty Sniper, both going to that Seeker's Arm Guard. Oh, I love it. getting that free stopwatch active so that even if you do get caught in this final team fight, you're going to have that 2.5 seconds of invulnerability.
Can't call it a stopwatch anymore, thank you. It's a stasis again. I will no longer be accepting stopwatches as calls, but you are quite right. The ability to not die for 2.5 seconds, generally speaking, pretty good for the two champions that are going to be focused out. It basically means if Lightside somehow, if they find a way onto this backline, that's a time now where natives can regroup during that stasis and assess how they're going to defend their carries. You can see they don't want to wait for the Elder. They know they've got the Baron. They want to break this open very, very quickly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this inhibitor is just a formality at this point. Nothing that Lightside can really do to defend it. A little bit of time before those next minion waves are going to start flooding into the base of Lightside. Flash engaged from Yaki. Another eat, this time onto End. That's what you want to be doing with it. But the health bars from natives are basically intact.
Yeah, Ocean Soul plus Melio middlecourt. I don't quite know what to say. 2 Nexus turrets under fire. Lightside, they've got defender's advantage, but it really doesn't feel like it.
Still 5 members standing, but for how much longer? Teleport in from Smurfy. The Nexus is exposed. Dr. Chaos going for one more Hail Mary Torque. Flashing in, but dying in an instant. Natives blow up Lightside. A double kill for Rusty Sniper. Make that a quadra. Almost taken at the end by Nulu. The Nexus falls. Natives picking up their first win of the splits.
That's what we like to see from our reigning NLC champs.
Reigning NLC champions.
Very solid performance from natives right there. Bouncing back after day one, which was definitely not necessarily a bad performance, but it was a loss. This time round, though, really, really solid stuff.
Yeah, and we saw what this team can do when they come out of early game fine. Controlled gameplay. Very, very clean gameplay. For Lightside, though, 0-2 week. A tough week in terms of the schedule, but I think that we would have wanted to see a little bit more out from them in terms of the performance. We are going to be jumping to a short break. Stick around. Analyst Desk coming right up.
Break it down, break it down. Step on the gas, let's get out of town. We gonna break out and have some fun. We gonna do what you never done. Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, take your body with you. It's a money weekend. Everything we wanna, we go do. We go do.